Hey, what's up? I'm back. How's it? Aloha. Somebody asked me a funny question. How come I'm not surfing? Actually, the wave's bumped up again and it's 20 feet out back, so I can't even put my feet in the sand. Even the turtles aren't on the beach. Anyhow, listen, I'm on a bit of a tear today, and wow, Opeth is what I'm doing. Harlequin Forest. Now, remember, I'm an old guy trying to trudge through this, and I just realized I can search through comments and stuff, figure out things. When I searched through comments, I was like, man, what an Opeth army there is out there. So I've got one for you. It might not be the one that you want, but I've never heard of the band, but I'm trusting all the comments. There hasn't been one turd yet that somebody says, hey man, can you listen to this? It's all been great stuff. This is a really great experience for me. Anyhow, if you've never seen me do a video breakdown, I'm an old composer, hence the decomposer. And I just go through it. I find stop, I'll just stop, do a little chatting, and roll forward. Most of you already know what I'm all about. So I'm going to get rigged in doing that. I do get comments about the headsets. AKG 240's link is below. Also, the link for this video will be below, and then below will also be linked for any MP3 CDs or vinyls that they have available as well, will be below. And also you'll find buy me a cup of coffee on Venmo. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm trying to cram as much as I can, 50 cents for my Jumbo Java makes it go a long ways. All right, here we go. Let's do this.
Into the street, past meadow grounds, and further away from my home. Baying behind me, I hear the hounds, flocks chasing to find me alone. A trail of sickness leading to me. If I am haunted, then you will see. Search in the darkness and emptiness. I'm hiding away from the sun. We'll never rest, never be at ease. All my matters expire, so I run.
Okay, apparently right here I'm coming to like a bridge section, so I think I can kind of intuitively know when to stop. This is my very first time hearing this band. I don't know the names. For those of you who have never heard me do this, I don't listen to the lead singer as a separate or as a lead, anything more than the instrument of the voice. I never look at lyrics. I don't listen to any of that because I want to try to get the full scope of the production and the dynamics. Very nice wall of sound and power, constant all the way through. I don't know, since I don't know the band, you guys please, with your comments, are important to me, especially if I say something wrong or don't get something right or really kind of don't know. If there is a keyboard player here, I do hear some kind of pad work in the back. I can't quite, there's a constant hold down of whole notes that are behind it. The guitar playing, so far, you know, this is a powerful band, powerful musicians, and this is the first song that I'm hearing of them. So I don't know if this is maybe their more adventurous tracks or maybe more parochial vanilla compared to other tracks I'll be diving into later. But I love the fact that while they're in the hook, it's dun, 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 and they're making their chord changes, and at the very end of that turnaround, they've got that really super cool riff that it dun, 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 dun. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting it right, but I really love that. The drummer is playing, is very busy with the snare. It's like it's not quite ghost notes that are going on there, but he is really keeping and locking down a really solid groove, along with the bass. Of course, that's the cojones of any band, and then of course the vocalist. I don't know if I'm in for something. I feel that he's in a very comfortable, warm space with his voice. The mix is world class, pro mix right now. I don't have anything to kind of pull out quite yet and polish up as far as my opinion on mixes, or not my thoughts on mixes and stuff. So we're only 2.5 minutes into an 11-minute song. I didn't realize how long this was. So we're in for another roll. So let's just keep going. But so far, super cool beans. Here we go. I go back a little bit.
All my matters expire, so I run. A trail of sickness leading to me. If I am haunted, then you'll see. There falls another. People rise who needs to be. Insane regrets that don't grow up. Instruments of death before me. Lose all to save a little, and you barely justify. And you face your demons as death becomes a jest. You are the laughing stock of the absent mind. Confession stuck in your mouth like a demon's
Oh, nice.
Nocturnally helpless, weak in the light, depending on a prayer. Pacing deserted roads to find a seed of home.
Nice.
They are
Wow.
the trees.
Okay, I noticed I probably stopped at the most sacrilege place in the world because I can feel the solo coming in. But I got to stop. This is the very first time I've ever heard of this band, let alone this track. And I just love the journey, man. This is crazy cool. So I'm going to try to remember. Remember, I'm doing this on the fly, and even though I take a few notes, I always go back and watch these videos. I go, damn, I forgot to say something. So if that does happen, look at the comments, and I usually pin one up on top, and I'll say, hey, I messed up here or something. So when I restarted it again, I knew I was in for something when he went into his growl, and but it was a really nice. Now that I'm like getting a little more aware about the growling and how it happens and how different singers utilizing the growl technique. It's not just growling and just being all. Many singers use that as an effect on their voice in many different ways. His is powerful but subtle. It was very well placed in the mix, and I love the way it sounds. It does sound like there is a keyboard. Now I'm beginning to hear what sounds like a Hammond sound or some other, light keyboard parts behind it. But when it ventured into this passage of acoustic guitars, the wind sucked out of me because I'm a guitar player by nature, even though I'm a keyboardist and stuff to do all compositions. That guitar playing was beautiful. And you know what? I don't know if many people, like I say, I do my reviews, my reactions based on the very people who don't listen, who are not musicians, who are not musicians and stuff. But for me as an engineer and a musician, to hear the subtle nuances of the slides of the fingers on the frets and the picking, and the occasional, there's definitely no buzzes on any of these notes and stuff, but the patterns, the picking patterns that they're using on these chord changes are just beautiful, and they flow. And thus far in the song, the journey that I'm on, that's what I love about songs that are more than that 3.5, 4 minutes. Not saying that those are bad, just ones that can take you on longer journeys like this. Man, the talent. You see, that's the thing. The thing for me is that I've been diving more into many different genres of rock and metalcore, math rock, whatever, everything. The level of musicianship across the board, I could bet you that I can almost take any one of these musicians and say, hey, let's do a prog for, fusion, pseudo jazz, and they would be able to jump right on it and do it, because that's the level of musicianship that I hear in a lot of these metal prog or core musicians. And I start reading the comments, and you find out, oh yeah, this guy was in a jazz band and all that, is now the drummer for, How Do You Do? And that's not a band, I'm just, How Do You Do? So this is really wonderful, and I'm so moved by this passage. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit for what I think we're going to prepare for a guitar solo coming up. All right, here we go. Okay, sorry, I got to stop right there. You know what I loved about that? I was thinking, hey, we're going to go into a solo. And what happened is they established a phrase that they played maybe 16 bars worth. But what's beautiful about that is that they established an instrumental hook. So for those of us who are going to listen to this a few more times, like myself after this, that is not so much about here comes a solo section, but a very memorable melodic section for an instrumental hook. You know, another thing I wanted to say, love the way the bass player is playing his arrangement. At this level, I'm pretty sure. Okay, at this level, I think you know, these guys, they'll sit down and they write the song, or even if they do it through, you know, DAWs and pass files back and forth over the internet, they're at a level where I'm thinking that the bass player is saying, okay, I got this, and his turnarounds at the end of every 4 or 8 bars, when there's that obvious turnaround of a phrase, man, it's so tasteful. Instead of going boom, back, boom, and you have to grow to listen to that. If you're not the deeper listener, like professionals or people who enjoy another level of music, you know, if you start to focus on some of these other beautiful nuances, you breathe new life into these pieces of artwork, this sonic artwork here. And so love the bass lines that are going there. And the drummer, he's freaking smoking. He's just so holding it down. I do want to say something about the engineering of the drumming, but I'm going to roll it forward a little bit and then I'll catch that up later. Wow. What a trip. What a great way to bring it back into another passage. Okay, ironically, not knowing about this song, and I said I wanted to say something about the drums and the engineering, did it go into this section where the drummer was able to light up a la Rush style, and I say that was with respect to not knowing the drummer and what his influences are. You know how I am about engineering, especially the drums, to me has always been the Boilermaker. When I was young in the 80s and I was setting up studio sessions as a second engineer in some big Hollywood studios, you know, when the engineer would give me that, you know, mic setup for the kits, you know, I learned so many different tricks and stuff. And what I love about the drum engineering in this is that in its ambient placement, which means there are different ways to get drum kits in stereo. Without getting too technical, there's a series of mics that'll go throughout the kit, snare up, snare down, hi-hat, you know, toms, different settings. A lot of times they have something that's called overhead mics, which generally I think everybody still does if they can. 2 microphones that literally just go overhead and they're panned in stereo. They're used as the room ambiance that you can actually bring up and down. Nowadays there's reverbs and all kinds of plugins and stuff that you can emulate that. But I can really appreciate the fact that the compression on this drum kit is very soft kneed. It feels very, what we call a soft knee. There isn't really super hard, tight compression. And I love the way the kick sounds. The kick to me is very personal because there's so many different ways that you can mic the kick to give it a particular squishy sound and punchy sound and stuff. And the marriage between the kick tone and the bass here is masterful on an engineering point of view, as far as I'm concerned, the way I'm hearing it in the cans and stuff. So now it looks like we're about to go into another section here, and then I'm going to play this all the way through, and then I'll wrap it up. So here we go. That was so cool.
Now the woods are burning. Daring life comes asunder. Useless record we made. Still by a smoldering gun.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that was so cool. Okay, that last section, very hypnotic. Really wonderful syncopated work rhythmically on there. But here's what I love about that. And with these longer songs that we now can have, you know, back in the days and 70s, 80s, and 90s, I was always worried about producing songs that were within radio play, and now, you know, there's so many longer songs. I love how they just lay you into this groove, and they let it run for like a minute. And it's, I can't tell you how many times back in the days, I'd have to put the needle back because I would just like a section of something and go, man, that just, why don't they do that for about, you know, a minute? And that's what I loved. I also loved the fact that they held down the root of the chords that they were using with I'm thinking it's a keyboard pad, holding down that drone through it, because that kind of ushers in this kind of calm, like, I want to call it like a zip line. Like that drone is like a zip line, and you're hanging on to that. You're in here, you feel it. That's that normal thing that you're feeling. Like I can identify with that drone, and it keeps you centered while all the rest of the stuff is happening while you're flying down the chute. I mean, that's my theater of the mind explanation of it. I'm sure you've got a different one, but what a great experience. Thank you guys. I would have never heard of Opeth had I not started this reaction stuff I'm doing on the channel here 6 weeks ago, and thank you all so much for your patience, man. You guys have no idea how many suggestions I'm getting. Oh my God, I have released the Kraken. Anyhow, so thank you so much. I appreciate your comments, and even the ones that you might have a little bit of a salty edge to it. I still appreciate it because sometimes I learn a little bit, like oh, okay, maybe I blew it there. Anyhow, thank you so much once again. Links are down below, and I'm gonna do one more today. One more. I'm on a roll. All right. Aloha. Later.